Welcome to Raven Talk, the official podcast of the Raven Tribe. The Raven Tribe is a home for warriors on the path, and is dedicated to training warriors for the battlefield of life. Visit us on the web at theraventribe.com, where you can learn more information on membership, warrior training, as well as links to our official YouTube channel, Facebook group, apparel store, and our official bookstore, Marshall Books.
Welcome back, Tribe. Today we're here with very special guest, Dan the Beast Severn. Mr. Severn, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great there, Dave. I think it's kind of interesting that you refer to your aspect as the tribe.
Yes, yes. Welcome to the Tribe. And Mr. Severn, I want to just thank you for taking out time from your extremely busy schedule to be with us, to talk to us. And I'm really looking forward to, gaining some insight from you, from your life, from your career. For those listening at home, I know this is an excellent opportunity to talk about some of the technical aspects of the martial arts, but I want to go ahead and go a different direction. I'm really concerned with asking Mr. Severn some questions here about being a warrior in life and being a champion. And this is a man who has achieved success in pretty much everything he's ever applied himself to, and I think we can all learn a lot. So with that said, I want to welcome Mr. Severn to the show, and I want to get started with some of our basic questions. Dan, I've never been a champion. I've done well at some things in my life, but I can't say that I've had the level of success that you've had in your career. Very few people can. It's my understanding, records change daily, but it's my understanding that you are the most decorated combat sports athlete of all time. And that kind of success, there's got to be some kind of formula there. Give me your insights. What does it take? Tell the people at home what goes into becoming a champion. What's in the mind, the mind of a champion when he's achieving those goals?
Well, firstly, I thought the first time I've ever heard that aspect. That's most decorated warrior. But I've, Dave, I've been around athletics my entire life. I tell people I started up my great adventure in the sport of amateur wrestling back in 1969. By 1971, I was teaching amateur wrestling. By 1972, I won my first national title, and I just, they kept coming one after next after next. What I never really was looking. I was never really looking for any kind of attention or fame. I just, my ninth grade year, and I'm proud to say it probably changed my life, when I finally read my very first amateur wrestling scholastic magazine. Up to that point, I was like any other athlete. I just simply did whatever the coach told me to do. And when I read this amateur wrestling scholastic magazine, it talked about all types of aspects of the sport, of the sport of wrestling. Talked about not only did it have actually like techniques and talked about techniques that you would do, but also talked about tactics, but also it talked about weightlifting, weight cutting, nutritional aspects, the mental mindset of things, setting of goals, and from my freshman year in high school, I thought, well, I'm gonna set my first goal. I wanted to be. I found out that no freshman had ever made the varsity team. I thought, well, maybe I'll set that as my first goal. I'll try to be the first freshman in high school to ever make a varsity team. And I'll just say that I'm kind of like fast forwarding. I achieved my goal. A very comical way that I achieved my goal. Like most wrestlers, you think that I'm going to lose some weight and I'm going to be this monster at this lighter weight class. Well, that's not really what happens. When you start losing weight like that, you start feeling weak and pathetic, and you start feeling sorry for yourself. I challenged the guy at the 155-pound weight class, but when you're just a freshman, you're basically 13 or 14 years of age, and now you're going up sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and that 1 to 3 year time difference is huge on mental and physical maturity. And these guys were just tearing me up. I lose at the 155-pound weight class, and one jump up to the next weight class up. I challenge there. I get beat. I went to the next weight class, next weight class, next weight class, and finally the last weight class to challenge was a heavyweight weight class. So I was going to realize it going back to circa 1970, what 77, and there is our heavyweight. The heavyweight weight class was unlimited. Our high school heavyweight weight basically right around 300 pounds, and here I am weighing 155 pounds. And my high school coach, he saw this. I don't know, maybe he was looking for a good laugh. Maybe he saw this persistence that I wanted to try to achieve something. He allowed the match to take place. And ironically, I always tell people, well, I won the match. How I won? Well, the heavyweight, he kind of tripped and fell down. I fell on top of him and I pinned him. And so that was kind of my fluke. I didn't win it, but I achieved my goal. Opened up a whole new set of obstacles. For example, I could not wear the heavyweight uniform because it was designed for a 300 plus pound man, and here I am weighing 155 pounds.
Wow.
I even have pictures. Of me as a heavyweight weighing 155 pounds, and it was just and the thing is, I got destroyed match after match after match. So I always tell people that I did not start off a winner, did not start being that champion. Ironically, I will tell the story. My very first varsity match ever, I'm standing on the sideline right next to my coach, and I'm bouncing up and down like I see every other wrestler bounce up and down. Why I was bouncing up and down, did I know? Well, that's what all the other wrestlers do, so why don't I bounce up and down too? And so I look like this skinny little kid right there, and I'm standing right next to my high school wrestling coach. My high school coach has his foot across his chest. He's got his arms folded. My opponent is out on the mat. He's a returning Class B state champion. This guy is probably about 6'3", 6'4", probably weighs around 295 pounds, and there's not really a bad ounce of weight on this guy. Big, burly looking thing. And the referee looks right at my coach. He goes, "Coach, where's your heavyweight?" you realize I am standing with an arm distance of my coach, bouncing up and down. Of course, I am wearing a 155-pound uniform. My coach doesn't even look at me. With his arms crossed and the clipboard on his chest, he simply points in my direction. The referee goes from my coach, looking at my coach, to looking over at this skinny little thing bouncing up and down, looks right back at my coach and goes, "Are you sure, coach?" my coach just simply just nods and said, "Yes." There was no shaking of the hand, attaboy, go get him or nothing like that. It was the sheep being led to slaughter. Wow. And literally the match took all of probably 10 or 12 seconds. He just, as soon as the referee said, wrestle, the big old behemoth came across the mat, basically just ran over top. He had to stop, turn around, just to drop down to his hands and knees, stick to half, and so the referee could go out. Technically, the pin took place. I tell that story a great deal just to let people know I did not start off in a blaze of glory. I took my lumps. And I think that's what's the problem with a lot of young, especially people today. It's a lot of the same things that even my friends, they were looking for the easy way out. But there's a whole new millennium that's coming up with these with the millennials, and I refer to it, the invasion of the Stay Puft Marshmallows that's come up because they're so weak mentally, they're so weak physically, and it boggles my mind. I know I'm kind of getting off of different mindsets or topics that I used to go to, but getting right back to me and what I've done in my life. I never really was looking for any of the fame or the attention. When I found out there was a records in my business, I kind of made it my goal. Let's see if I can do this. And let's see if I can do that. And it's kind of like, well, I moved the varsity team. It's kind of like, oh, well, I had a losing season my freshman year. It's kind of like, well, let's see if I can do better by next year. Basically, I'm now I'm not the proper weight class and doing things. And definitely, I had a more successful year. And I started doing my summer wrestling program with freestyle wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling, and just adding more and more things just to my skill sets. You know, I mean, but I don't know, I can probably jump into a lot of things fast forward to even in my freshman year in college. And by 1976, I've never once recruit in the United States. I can go anywhere I want. I've got the academics, GPA to go along there with it. And, you know, I ended up going to Arizona State. So to start from just nothing and then to be able to go somewhere, and even now I give a great deal of gratitude to what my wrestling has done for me, but it's also what I've done for wrestling. You know, that I don't know, going beyond your own personal limitations.
Excellent. Now, Mr. Severn, one of the things that stands out to me is that you are not just an athlete. I mean, you're an educated man. You're actually an educator. Your degree in education, and you mentioned that you had the academics to go along with your chops on the wrestling mat when you were getting ready to go off to college. I think that's apart from that, you also mentioned kind of the soft generation, and I think those are some of the things that really do go into developing the mindset of somebody that is out to win in life in anything that they apply themselves to. You weren't one-dimensional. You were well-rounded. You had your academics as well as your sports, and you weren't afraid, like you said, to take your lumps. Please expand on that a little bit, because you started to talk to us a little bit about it, and I want to get your opinion on how you see the young crowd now. What are they missing? What don't they get about achieving these goals?
I mean, bottom line is the discipline and the sacrifice that goes along with it. That's I chalk a lot of things up to. I chalk that up to why I've been the success that I am and been. I have my own training facility. I have since basically since 92. I've had my own training facility, but I've been coaching. As I said, I've been teaching sport wrestling since 1971. And through most of my career, I can tell you different aspects of what has taken athletes away. Even when I was coaching at Arizona State and Michigan State, I always would say that it was never the academics, it was never the injuries that took most of the male counterparts out. Basically, it was, I hate to say this, but it was females.
Okay.
That would distract a lot of the males that were trying to persevere and then to make the tennis injuries just risky. I hate to say it, but the way that it seemed like a lot of my buddies, some like this, they no longer had their own. They no longer had a voice of their own, and that was, I think, part of the problem. But that's not what I see with we're going to talk about the invasion of marshmallows here right now. It's this new generation that's coming up, and I'm both proud to say this, and it boggles my mind all at the same time. Talking that I'm my third generation of instruction. I was teaching my own peers. They had children, and I taught them, and now their children are having children. It's kind of even with my own. I taught my own son. I had two sons that basically went into wrestling. Now I've got my first grandsons that are coming through, but I'm also working with most of my own nephews and nieces on top of this. And I still plan on being around for quite a few years to come, still be able to teach. I'm still on the mat. I'm probably on a 4 to 5 day basis minimum. It's kind of like some people still like my fix. I enjoy that. If I don't get on the mat as often as my better half realizes, I get a little cranky, and she knows that I just need to go get my fix. And I'm good to go again. I know I'm kind of going off on two different tangents.
No, it's fine.
This new generation that's coming up, they're not willing to really to sacrifice. They're not willing to put in the work. They fold so easy because there is no accountability for their actions. I blame it on a lot of things that we have allowed to let happen. I think things like taking corporal punishment out of schools. There was accountability for your actions, where now kids can say and do almost anything they want in a school, and they'll look at that and say, "Oh, touch me," and my parents will sue. And that's mind-boggling to me. Just as you asked me earlier, or made a statement earlier, yes, I do have a degree from Arizona State University, and my degree actually is in industrial arts. I really enjoyed a lot of the shop classes as I was going through high school, and I pursued. I thought, well, I'll just go. I started off first off in construction engineering at Arizona State. I was actually the first jock ever in construction engineering at ASU in the very intense 5-year program. I stuck with the first couple of years. Then I switched from the College of Engineering to the College of Technology, and basically that was a teaching degree. Is what I did. I had way more hours than what I really needed to for my certificate. I only needed like 120 credits, and I think I left it with like 146. Then I took additional classes just because the school was free to me. I use like that. I'll say it's free, but I was given a full athletic scholarship. But I took advantage of my scholarship. I took additional classes. I only had to take 12 credits per semester, and I would have been eligible for athletics. But in a sport like wrestling, there isn't a future profession such as there would be fellow classmates that were in football, and they're hoping to get picked through the NFL draft, or basketball players to get an NBA draft, or baseball players or hockey players. So sports like wrestling and gymnastics and swimming, there really weren't opportunities to go on to a pro level. And so I always tell people that I am, as one of those jocks said, I had to leave college with something tangible. I can't just play my sport for the rest of my life. I kind of say that smiling right now because actually I have.
Nice.
I've been able to utilize my skills, and it's provided me with a good livelihood, but then also the fact that I've been able to travel the entire United States, travel the world, and experience things that most will never experience in their life. So for that, I do have great gratitude. And once again, I'm digressing from your questions.
No, that's fine, sir. Well, what I'm hearing
put
from
me
you,
right back on track if you want.
Yeah, no, for sure. But Mr. Severn, what I'm hearing from you is a lot of important elements that are going into your ability to be successful at what you're doing. You're not afraid to put in the work. You're able to stay focused on your goals. You're able to plan and make sure that you have, like you said, your backup plan. You're not just putting your eggs all in one basket. And that, I'm assuming that there's some more things, obviously, that went into your personal formula for success. But I want to ask you specifically about something that stands out. I've read about this before. I've heard you speak about it before. And I'd like for you to share it with the audience, because I think it really highlights the ability for a person to rise to an occasion, to succeed when odds are against you. Now, you mentioned traveling around the world, and I've heard you tell the story before. When you faced, I believe it's a 4-time world champion. And
yes.
Yes.
Yes, I know exactly where you go with that. Yes. His name is Larry Habilov.
Right.
I think he only achieved one world title at the time, one or two at that time. But I faced him. I knew I was about to walk into a man with a man that he hasn't beat by anybody. And by all right, I'm not going to stand a chance against him. But I knew there was a chink, not actually in his armor, but in the armor of the Russian athlete. They, the Russians were really known quite well for great skill level, but that their cardiovascular was not that well. And I knew that going into this match, I would probably be losing. I might be losing by a lot. But I go that I can't give up, and I have to continue to keep this match as active as physical as I possibly can, so that if there is that chink in his armor, I'm going to expose it. And American wrestlers were really always known for having great cardiovascular aspect there. So I mean, and that's kind of what comes down to the match. In the first bit of action, I mean, I'm losing points. I mean, I'm battling all the way through, but I'm losing a point here, I'm losing a point there, and he's scoring. But each time I simply know that even though we may go on, we battle, we end up going out of bounds. I'm the first to go back. I'm the first to make it back to the center, so that in the referee's eyes, they're like going, they're looking at the champ. They're, oh, come on, champ. You got this other guy. You're kicking his butt, but he's still the guy that's running back here waiting for you to kick his butt some more. And that's where when I finally scored my first point, I might go, there we go. I know that it's working. But do I have enough time? Because match lengths were different at that point in time. So I just pushed to basically point that finally beat him. Not only did I beat him just on one occasion, I beat him on a couple occasions, including even pinning him in his own country, in his own community. And that I tell people, not only did I have to beat an athlete, I had to beat 3 referees as well, because that cliche of being homered, when you go, you can't be any more homered than when you're trying to beat somebody in their own hometown, and they probably are related to some of the referees there as well.
Sure.
So that's where you get to rise above the big deep. I believe that there's only a maximum of 100% that an athlete can give. It always boggles my mind when I hear all these coaches, you got to give me 110%. You got to give me 150%. I think, coach, you obviously don't understand math. He goes, there is only 100%, and then there's 101 when you have gone beyond the parameters that your body and your mind will allow you. And to me, most Americans don't even flirt with 80%. That is my opinion here now, and I've only gone to that 100%, 101% on that on a few occasions, and that's really the thing that probably has set me apart from all of my peers which has allowed me to have the career I have had, both as I defied age barriers early in my career when I first began. I had my first Olympic trials as a senior in high school. I just barely turned 18 years of age at that point in time.
Wow.
And I'm walking out to that with men that I had read their books, that moves were named after them. So even when I go to clinics, stuff like that now, and they'll say, oh yeah, this is called the Peterson roll. I go, oh yes, I know that. I wrestled both Ben and John Peterson.
Nice.
I go, I know the people who invented the move, who the move is named after, and I wrestled not only the guy who's named after, but I also wrestled his brother on top of that. So it just I bring up things kind of nonchalantly, but it kind of boggled my mind that I did that early in life, but then even late in life, I have defied age barriers to walk into a cage back in 1994, just before turning 37 years of age. No one starts a cage fighting career at 37. You retire from it.
Exactly.
And then to go 20 years beyond that.
No,
and that's go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I wanted to ask you because we jumped a little ahead in your career, but it plays to the same portion of my question. You beat a world champion, a man that you felt, that everybody felt you were not able to beat. You
Correct.
defied odds. You went into a whole new sport, your third sport at this point, and defy odds and become a champion. I want to know, because there's an old saying that says if you really want to know a man, look at how he handles success. And I want to know your thoughts on success. What does it do to a man? What does it do to a person? What are the pitfalls and what are the things you need to be careful with? Because one of the things that really stood out and made me so interested in interviewing you was I've never heard somebody say a bad word about you. I've never seen anything that suggested you acting anything other than like a perfect gentleman. Everybody has really positive things to say about you as a person. And unfortunately, people that would have similar success to yours in their fields often are not that type of person. And I want to know, what allowed you to handle that success and keep a level head and still be a good human being and be humble and be grateful. What about it? That process, how does it change you? Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, I'll give you a few different thoughts. I think a lot of it had to do with, my upbringing. First off, I grew up on a farm. My father was not a farmer by trade. He always referred to himself as more or less a hobby farmer. 120 acre farm. He worked in the automotive industry, but the rule was, my other siblings and myself, I was actually the second oldest, second born, and the rule was, when you got up in the morning, you had to take care of the animals first before you got taken care of. But that was just, and then no matter, and still get ready and be ready to head up to school for the day during the actual work week. But then even later that day, regardless of how late you got home, whether it was at the football practice, a wrestling practice, a track and field, whether on a weight meet or something, it could be quite late at night, you still had to take care of the chores once again. So as my father once put it, he goes, "Son, do you like to eat?" "Oh, yes, I do, Dad." "Well, so do the animals." "Do you like to drink there, son?" And then as always to do that. "Well, so do the animals." So, it was pretty much common sense. You take care of the animals in the morning. You got ready, you went up to school, and then when you got back home afterwards, you had to take care of the animals there once again. So I'd say there's that. I'd say that was part of it. I think that the reading that magazine, probably setting goals. I think that actually was a big influencer in my life. And I've always been an observer of people. Sit back and watching the actions of successful people, watching aspects of actions and aspects of people not so successful. So just in my, if I go back to just those wrestling days, just seeing wrestlers on their feet the entire time, and talk about they're just mingling and they're not taking their competition seriously, and then they're going out there and then they're having a lackadaisical match and not put out the best performance. Whereas myself, I would kind of isolate myself. I'd be off into a quiet corner someplace. I'd be laying down, relaxing, trying to conserve all my energy. And I was listening to hear what weight classes were coming up. So if it was an all-day tournament, I'd always be preparing at least one weight class before, so that I was ready to go and step on the match. But then when my match was done, going back again and just learn how to relax. And that carried over a great deal into almost all the other things that I did, especially jumping back into that cage fighting world where I'm usually one of the last matches that evening. Got all kinds of people that want to come up to you and meet you and stuff like this, but I'd always have one or two people with me to kind of just keep people away from me. Because the only reason that all these people are coming to see me and meet me, something like that, because of what I've accomplished. But a lot of them don't understand how did you get there in the first place, what separates you. And even there'd be times when I would be warming up for matches that I've had people try to come up to me, and I'd have to say, "Sorry, I can't talk to you now. I will after my match is done. Well, I'll take a picture with you. I'll sign this thing later in the day." And I know that the different times I think, "Oh, well, he's an awful arrogant individual." But at the same token, I'm going, the only reason that these people are talking to me, kind of like, honestly, Dave, same way stories that you're talking right now because of the success ratio I have had. Otherwise, you probably would not be speaking to me.
Sure.
But I've defied odds time and time again, and come up on the winning side of things. And I do chalk it up to having a lot of common sense, but then also having that mental mindset of knowing that I can will myself to do things, or I can turn myself into something that most people will never understand as a competitor.
Yeah, and it's great insight, Mr. Severn. It absolutely, I think there's a lot of lessons there that people can definitely learn just from that brief, statement. Now, Mr. Severn, one of the things I want to ask you about is kind of the flip side of my previous question. We look at how a man deals with success and what lessons can be learned from how he deals with success. I'm curious to know how a champion deals with disappointment. People every day in their lives are disappointed. Into every life a little rain must fall, as they say. And some people will encounter disappointment and they'll retreat from life, they'll shut down, they'll become bitter, they'll become, angry. Other people manage to bounce back, and I think there's a lot to be said in the way that people handle disappointment. Now, your case is very special. You were an elite level athlete. You had, your eye on the Olympic gold medal, and that unfortunately didn't come to pass.
Just interrupt you for a moment there. Yes, had everything gone to fruition of what I was anticipated to do in 1984, you would have never heard from me again. I would have retired back in 1984. But because things did not go the way that I had anticipated it left a big hole in my career, and left a big hole in my emotions. And I'll say that is some of the stuff that maybe I was able to use as fuel to fire for me to get a different area,
So, and you said that left a hole for you, and this was particularly tough because my understanding is that the person that went on to win the medal that year, you had beaten him. You knew you were better than this guy.
Well, actually, through the final result, his name is Lou Bannick. He was the 220-pound Olympic representative for the 1984 Olympic team. He won the gold medal and did not. I don't think he gave up a single of his opponents. Everybody that he went against, I had pinned in at least 1 minute.
Wow!
And it would have been the easiest gold medal for me to ever won. And so I say that did it. I was so many different emotions. I could say I was bitter, I was angry, I was mad, I was I was not done right. There was just a lot of things. I could go into a lot more detail, but it really just left a big emptiness in me. And for a while, I just wasn't certain what I wanted to do. I was still, even from '84. I still went on, and I was looking at attempt to make an '88 Olympic team, and at that point in time, the U.S. was already '84 done a ban, down '84 the Russians banned, and in '88 U.S. banned the Russians. So that didn't really come to fruition whatsoever. So there are just some different things that kind of happened. But then, I just continued to compete and doing other aspects. Through college, I got jumped into a little bit of the judo. I jumped into some sambo. I jumped into, by '92, I think I jumped into my very first tough tag contest. I jumped into professional wrestling. And then, lo and behold, by 1994, this no holds barred cage fighting thing came along, and I jumped even into that. So,
and I find it very interesting because a lot of people, I don't think, could have bounced back from that disappointment and maybe would have just hung up the boots and said, okay, this career is over. But, and like you said, if you had won the medal, we may not be speaking to you now, but this led you to have an entire it's not like something you just did a little bit out, as a hobby after wrestling. I mean, you had an entire new chapter to your career after this. I mean, you've had and I find it amazing because as an athlete, I don't know of any athletes that have had, we've seen two-sport athletes, who make a name for themselves in one sport and then they'll, dabble a little bit in another. But we don't have people that have entire legacies in more than one sport. And you've been able to do that. You've been able to go on and do that. So tell me what went into that process. I mean, if you bouncing back, and you said you used a lot of it as fuel, but did you ever think about giving up? Just calling it quits and giving up, or did you? What made you keep going?
Oh, I'd say that there's different aspects. I went through so many different emotions. I mean, I still actually have an envelope that has all of that information on what happened from 1984. I even have the actual PCR tapes that show the challenge matches that were some referees that scored it totally in my favor and some did not. And I just I'll just say that if I was to go through that, it would probably not be a good thing. And that's probably why I've left that kind of sealed and I've moved on. That time has come and gone. I even at that time I even sought out legal advice. And yes, I could have gone after USA Wrestling, but I did not have a contract with any company like say Nike or something like that. They would have said, Dan Severn, if you win the gold medal, it's going to be worth whatever $8 or something like that. Well, I did not have that kind of contract. And basically, I was advised all you had to do, you could end up winning this case, and what was going to happen is you will have won, and the Olympic Games are over already. So you would have won, and you would have never been able to participate in those games, and you're just going to piss off a bunch of people who will probably blackball you for the rest of your life. So it's kind of like those days, wow, I've got to sit here and take this one on the chin, is what you're telling me. And that's basically what the legal advice told me. And that was a hard pill to swallow. But at the same token, that's why I tell people that, Dave, I guess that's something I'm real proud of me now, but the next couple of years after that, a lot of people were thoroughly impressed what I was doing in my from that 92 period on. They realized this happened in 84. So in 84 by 1994, the number one cage fighter in the world. That's almost mind-boggling because even Jeff Blackman was one of the play-by-play commentators for the Open Fighter Championship. Jeff is gone now. He's been gone for a number of years now. And Jeff is, I think, either my same age or a year or two younger. He didn't have a massive heart attack. But he's one of the commentators, and he actually was on that 84 Olympic team. And I was even one of his workout partners at one point there because they would not allow me to work out with Lou Manning. And in his comments there in the 1994 UFC, the whole cage fighting career, he's like, he was Danny, it was back in 1984. I know what you went through. He said, did you ever imagine in your wildest dreams that by 1994, a decade later, you would be the number one cage fighter in the world? And really, only he and I knew what he was talking about.
Wow.
And I just said, no, I was either, Jeff, I would never ever thought that while I was dreaming. But my whole point of saying that is that I get to defy those odds to be the age I was, and just defy that age barrier and to have the level of success. I always tell people, if you really wanted to see, because the great Dave the Beast, that was given to me by the legendary NFL football player Jim Brown. He was also one of the play-by-play commentators for half a dozen of those events, and he just couldn't believe because first off, in his words, he said, when I first saw you show up at the UC today, and he did not think I was one of the competitors because I showed up wearing a sports jacket and a tie and wearing glasses. But I wear glasses for distance, but that was the standard attire. I found the coach at Arizona State, Michigan State. He just showed up to function with sport jackets and ties on. And so I showed the very first year wearing that outfit, and I look like somebody's agent or look like some insurance agent, something like that. But then he says he did. Jim said also the fact that he was rather soft spoken. He says he goes, I was surprised when he goes, like watching the transformation of Clark Kent into Superman. Instead of climbing, you take off your sport jacket, you tie your glasses, and it's kind of like don't. He goes, this aggressive competitor comes out. He goes, he goes, how do you turn it out like that? I was thinking, Jim Brown and asking me a question like that. It boggled my mind.
Nice. Well, Mr. Severn, thank you for sharing the thoughts on that. And before we wrap up, I really want to ask you, do you have any parting words of wisdom for members of the tribe, people listening at home? Like I mentioned to you before, we spoke a little bit off air, and our tribe is dedicated to martial arts, to preparedness, all those kind of related elements. But our real focus is just winning at life, being ready to handle the pitfalls of life like a champ, like a warrior, chin up, and with dignity. What parting advice do you have for us? For the people out there that may run into hard times, may, start feeling the weight of life, what can we remember? What words can Dan Severn give us to remember when we run into some of those hard times?
Life is never going to be whatever you hope it and anticipate it will be. I think life is, it's called life because it's going to have some U-turns. It's going to have a few dead ends. It's going to have just some road underneath construction. There's a lot of things that are going to go, that you're going to go through that it's easily to be derailed. You need to have a basic plan. These actually are the same words I've actually spoken to my 5 children. I've got 3 of them married now, and I've had the chance to sit down with all 3 of them to say, have a basic plan in life. Know that it's not going to go the way you want it. Have good communication with each other, and have a basic goal of what you guys want to achieve together. That's why I think the same way is generally on an individual basis is having that goal or those set of goals. I live out of a planner. I check with it on a daily basis to make sure I am on task. You might be shocked at all the goals I still have, and anyone that really knows me knows that I'm not a talker. I'm a big believer in actions speak louder than words. And so I don't tell a whole lot of people what I have going on. But, I do like to accomplish or at least come close to what I set for myself. And I've got some pretty big goals even still to this day of what I want to do as a family dad, as a father, what I want to do as a businessman. But there still is the competitor spirit inside Dan Severn. And I think probably no better way for me to finish answering your question. I know I started this off, and I said you were talking about the warrior spirit, and you talked about feeling age, and I made the comment that I wrote a poem 20-some years ago, and that poem is called "The Match Promise." And I think there's a great line in there that I want to give to you, but it's if I could we sat it from data for you, and it goes like this. The match bombs, it's based on amateur wrestling, but it's way more than just amateur wrestling. It's about life and the way that one perceives and goes after it. They had, again, the title of the poem, The Match Bomb, and it goes like this. Before I walk onto the mat, I pause a moment to think I'm back. From where I came, it wasn't much, but where I'm headed, I cannot be touched. These words I speak, they are the same. Speak them I must, they're part of my game. I must promise to do my very best to put my opponent to the ultimate test, to rise above all that he may do. I will see the match all the way through. Win or lose is not the score. Knowing I did my best, this means more. I will shoot and defend with all my might to let my opponent know he's in for a fight. When the whistle blows, the match is done. The ref raises my arm because I have won. I am not average, not like the rest. I will rise above and become the best. It is my goal to reach the top, and no matter what, I will not stop. And I think that's sort of the essence of it all, is that don't ever stop. You must continue on. Yeah, because life is going to give you some dead ends, some U-turns, some yields, and you simply have to know how to deal with that disappointed at moments. Sure, take some time out, sulk a little bit, something like that. Think about what happened, but you eventually have to pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and look at life and say, is that the best you can dish out? I'm here, I'm still standing, and I'm coming right back after you now.
Well, excellent words of advice, sir. I appreciate them. And I think the entire tribe and listening audience will also find them valuable and hopefully take them to heart. Mr. Severn, again, I want to just extend my gratitude for you taking that time from your schedule. I spoke to you a few times planning this interview, and I was just taken back with how busy you are. You sound like you're doing a million things at once, and that's awesome that you keep so busy. But it just makes me appreciate the time that you were able to give to us even more. So, again, I want to thank you. And before we wrap up, can you please let the audience at home know if they want to reach out to you? We didn't talk about it too much today, but hopefully we can get you back on to talk about it in the future. But you do still offer clinics and training. You have your training facility. You're training, athletes. You're training police officers. If people want to reach out to you and connect, how can they reach you?
Probably the best way is simply if I just say go to my website at dansevern.com. If you go to dansevern.com, all my social media, the Facebook pages, the Twitter accounts, all of that is right there. And that actually promotes almost all the different things that I do, everything from public speaking to amateur wrestling clinics and law enforcement, corrections, and martial border patrol, even what I do with military and what I've done with the world's largest private security company in the world. I take everything I do with a great deal of pride, and I always look at it from their perspective on things. But Dave, I really appreciate you having me on and just give you an opportunity just to share a little bit about my story and well, that would just tell my story. What I hope to be my legacy of making a difference. We're all going to be here. But was your time spent well? Or that's what I hope that my legacy will just that I made a difference in so many different lives, and I know I have. I've done that already just from all the different emails and messages that I get now that I have young men that well, they're not young now. They'll say, I went to your wrestle camp when I was in junior high back in Owasso. When they say that was probably 30-some years ago. I'm thinking, boggles my mind, but they'll say that they remember things that I said, and they still take heart to this day. So I'm thinking, well, people are watching to try to make a positive imprint and let that be a legacy.
Excellent. Well, sir, again, thank you very much, and we'll sign off for tonight, but hopefully we can have you back on the show. There's an infinite amount of things to talk to you about, so hopefully we can coax you back on in the near future.
All right. Sound good today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir.